Hey guys, this is Jay Buckley. This is my very first blab, and I went to the streaming opening ceremony of TED last night, TED2016, and it was amazing, so I thought I'd chat about it. I don't know how many of you guys have actually blabbed before. The first blab that I showed up on, someone actually was on their phone blabbing from the bath. That was the first 5 seconds of a blab that I participated in, which was supposed to be about journaling from the bath. So who have we got here? I can see Estelle. I feel like Miss Helena from Romp Room. Gina, I haven't seen you for ages. How you doing, Gina? How else can I see people? There's Gina and Estelle, and it says that there's 9 other people, I guess. Yay. Fantastic. So this is a little bit of experiment. This is my first time on Blab, and I was just really inspired about the TED Talk things, and I wanted to chat about it interactively rather than just talking about it on my own. So I want to try and see if I can get someone to jump up in the other seat and we can have a chat. How do you do that? Make this person a co-host. Okay, so I don't know the difference between co-hosting and jumping in a seat, so I hope it's okay, Gina. You're the first one in the line here. I'm just going to press buttons and see if you can join me and actually connect and chat. I don't know if that worked. Did anything happen at your end, Gina? I'm not sure. Maybe let me try. We've got a bunch of people. Hello, sweet angel. See, you're not able to join. Okay, cool with that. Maybe I'll try with Estelle. Let's try this. Thank you for bearing with me on the experimental side of all of this. I don't know, even if you can just type in the chat, have any of you guys actually been to a TED event? Not a TEDx event, but a TED event that's the big, real, full-on one. I've been to some amazing TEDx events. Apparently this one, it was hosted in Vancouver. Never been to TED, says Estelle. Nice. I want to try to add you in so you can actually be in the other seat. Not locked, it's open. I don't know, if there's something there on your screen that says join the seat or take a seat or ask to be invited or something like that. Oh, Estelle, it looks like you're there.
Hello.
Oh, hello, lovely. How you doing?
A funny angle. Hang on a sec.
It is. I've got a bit of a funny angle going as well. I've been trying to figure that out, but
I've got cameras all over the place.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me just do something so it's not so weird looking at the side of my face.
Cool. Nice. So yeah, last night, a friend of mine from the radio, we went and drove up to Brisbane, and the TED opening session, not just opening ceremony, the opening session. So there were 5 speakers and 2 performance pieces. And the speakers were incredible and the performance pieces were, one was amazing and one was, you know, like when you have a really amazing meal and then a dessert that just doesn't match?
Oh, really? Yeah.
It was a little bit like that, but the speaking ones were incredible.
Excellent.
Yeah, so it's actually quite amazing. Their blatant out there overt theme was dreams and what's the dreams going to mean for tomorrow, what's the dreams going to mean for our future, and all that kind of thing. But there was this underlying theme think, and I don't know if it was intentional, but I definitely noticed it, that dreams are usually about the future.
Oh, okay.
And when we've got a dream that we're following or something like that, it is a dream for the future. And there was this theme that our presence is our future. And it was never stated overtly, but the things that we are being now in this moment are actually opening the doors to what we will be able to do in the future. It was quite amazing.
I'd be interested to hear more about that. So
yeah,
because
you
when
don't
you're
look
talking,
like you're in Hawaii anymore.
I don't look like I'm what?
In Hawaii anymore.
No, I'm not. I'm home. Back at work. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So just tell me about the dream aspect. When you refer to dreams, are you talking about aspirations or are you talking about nighttime activity?
I'm not in charge of the interpretation. That's just the theme for TED is dreams. You interpret it however you want.
Okay.
Yeah, and both were mentioned, like dreams, nightmares, things like that. Because for me, I've trusted in my nighttime dreams to actually guide my to-do list, guide my life for a long time. I've listened to them. But most of them were talking about the whole chasing a dream and turning it into a reality kind of thing.
Okay.
Which is very, very different. But their very first speaker was, I can't remember her last name, but Ishita, I think, Kalala. I don't know. I will figure out the proper pronunciation. But this gorgeous little 10-year-old girl from India was the opening speaker for the whole TED event. And she was so articulate and so spot on with her message and everything. And she starts by sharing everything that she loves. So the YouTubers that she loves, the books that she loves. She had her little Furby on stage on a little chair beside her, everything that she loves that it takes everywhere. And the fact that she has all these things that she loves and she's encouraged to surround herself with things that she loves actually makes her feel motivated and makes her feel inspired. And then she gets creative and she creates things because she's like published a book already and she is a YouTuber herself and all that. And she said that when she's creative, it keeps her energized and happy and it keeps her parents happy. And then this cycle of support and encouragement keeps going, which was really beautiful. And she said in terms of dreams, she kind of had 4 nightmares, 4 things that she worries about. And they were that the children are losing their childhoods too early. Not so much being focused on the worries of the world, but being focused on doing things for the future for your exam, worrying about what you're going to be when you grow up, instead of what do you want to be right now?
Yes.
And that was the first time the presence being our future, like doing things in the present, being here and whole and inspired and supported, and the creativity that comes out of that being right here. So that was her first worry. Her first nightmare was the children losing their childhood too early. And I'd never thought about it before, but the whole thing of childhood is being lost in the moment.
Well, it is supposed to be. I don't think it is for a lot of children because that is, for that very reason, there's so much pressure on them to get out there and achieve and, set up their future. And there you go, future again. So, it's done with a good intention, but the effect of it, I don't think is necessarily good.
Yeah.
I think there's just too much pressure on children myself. So to be able to be a child and not be allowed to be a child must be a marvellous thing.
And also, whether the pressure is overt or not, or whether you're just sensing the pressure that your parents are under.
Well, it goes beyond that, I think, because sensing pressure, a lot of the pressure that children will take on as their own comes from the unlived ambitions of their parents. And
unresolved pain, that all the secrets that we pretend are not there.
Yes.
Like dreams and broken dreams.
Yeah,
well.
Exactly.
So that was her first worry. Her second worry was that we're going to run out of food and water, and that there's such waste in that area. The third worry was that countries that have disagreements with each other go to war instead of becoming friends and sorting things out with nation-to-nation friendship rather than nation-to-nation warfare.
Yeah.
And the fourth worry was that education the prices are being hiked up year after year after year, and it's becoming out of reach. And education should not be a privilege, it should be a right. Yes. Especially education for women, education for all children in general. Yeah.
Well, I agree. I agree with all that. I'm not sure about running out of food and water. What worries me is that certain corporations are trying to say they own water and water sources, which is worrisome, because then that's going to restrict the ability of, people that, water and air are free resources, and food really is possibly a free resource if it's grown in the wild or wherever you can access it. So those are things that shouldn't be worries, but yeah. Could see how they could possibly be.
We seem to be like at almost a global collective humanity-sized crossroads of who owns what.
Yes.
And when is something a human right versus a commodity to be sold.
Yes.
And there's a lot of things. Oh, there's a lot of things around. Sorry, I keep cutting you off. It's just so inspiring.
That's okay.
There's a lot of things around the basic income and things. Like, there are a lot of countries and a lot of research coming out about that in recent months. So having a basic living income, regardless of whether you work or not. And I'll just relate that to what Ashita was saying about being encouraged and supported, like in the family. Yes. The parents encourage and support the child, and then they are intrinsically motivated and creative. And when they're creative, they're energized and happy, and it's this positive cycle. As nations, we can encourage and support citizens, or we can perpetuate a cycle of desperation and discouragement instead.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think it has to start at that sort of way of living, way of life, way of belief has to start at a grassroots level, because the way that our society, or the world basically as a global stage is set up is not to embrace that ideal. So it has to start from small, going up. Yeah, I can. I'm not sure what that is.
I'm very close to the door. That's a truck reversing outside.
Oh, is it? Okay.
And I'm back.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
I thought it was some feedback coming through the speakers, because that with that sound, it sounded the same. So I'm glad it was a truck, and it was easily.
That was a truck outside. You're not getting tinnitus or anything. You're fine.
Excellent.
Yeah. So that was amazingly beautiful, and how she brought all those global issues down to not letting children lose their childhood and actually being in the present moment. And there's so many of us as adults that are trying to reconnect with that and find this balance between making our plans and having our real connected vulnerable moments.
Yep. Well, I love that. I love the idea that it's a 10-year-old girl who is teaching that concept to adults. I think that's perfect.
Yeah. Really beautiful. And as I said in her introduction, she has more vested in the future than pretty much anyone in the room.
Of course. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The next speaker was the head of X, used to be Google X. It was basically a place where they take enormous, huge, incredible problems and just try to research and create funky, cool solutions. So that's where the self-driving car came from, and they're trying at the moment to make balloons go around the world and provide Wi-Fi in places that it doesn't currently reach, and the balloon project is apparently going incredibly well, and it will reach about 4 billion more people in the next 5 to 10 years.
We need that in Australia.
I'll have my own personal balloon, thank you. But yeah, they did a little like 3-circle chart that said we take a huge problem, we either find or create a radical solution, and either find or create the breakthrough technology to solve that problem. And so it's a huge problem that's affecting tens of millions of people and through there. But it wasn't so much what they're doing, but the heart and soul and vision behind what they're doing. That was really fascinating. You know, they talked about a moonshot vision, so the whole Kennedy thing, and we're going to go to the moon by the end of the decade and safely back, that kind of thing. Actually,
well, if anyone can do it, it's going to be Google X or X.
Exactly. Well, we had Google X, and we had the next speaker was actually representing Peter Diamandis and the human genome longevity project and like that. So you've got all these people that are solving problems that literally affect billions of people.
Yes.
There's nothing that you can train for to do that, because it's new problems that didn't exist when we went to school, and it's solutions that cannot be found. They must be unearthed from the ether, from your spirit.
Well, they must be dreamed, really.
Exactly. And then have a concrete way of putting that into practice. And so he calls his job that he's head of a moonshot factory. Moonshot for the vision and factory for the grounded strategy around it, which was really amazing. And he was using the phrase boundless optimism in order to come up with these visions as boundless optimism. I have cynically called it dysfunctional optimism, when people are dysfunctionally optimistic, dysfunctionally positive. They're not actually seeing everything. They're only seeing the silver lining and not the cloud as well. And that kind of thing can get a little bit disconnected from real life, where you're only acknowledging your happy feelings.
Yeah, but don't we need both types? I mean,
we absolutely
I don't think it's necessarily in the same person, but you've got your big chunkers and your small chunkers. So it's sort of having both those ends of the spectrum. But you do need that visionary to have that vision and to say, this is what's possible. And then those people that love doing all the detail stuff, they can come in and go, oh, I love working this out. Let's do it this way or that way. So, you know, it's, you know, it may be dysfunctional at one level or actually at either end of the spectrum, but having both of those ends of the spectrum brings it all together. Yeah.
And he had a beautiful way of putting it. He called it enthusiastic skepticism. And so it was not just individuals having enthusiastic skepticism. He said that like boundless optimism and enthusiastic skepticism are the perfect partners to unlock potential in ideas.
Yes.
And it's just magnificent. And they have in the culture of the company, their secret is that they try to fail first. They try every day to kill their projects.
Yes.
And if something's going to fail, they're finding ways to kill it. And if they can't kill it today, they try to kill it tomorrow. And the longer that it survives, the more exciting that it is. But also, if they do successfully kill a project and they get the most difficult problems first and tackle them, they get the biggest Achilles heel of the project.
Yeah.
And if you're going to find out that something's going to fail in 8 phases time, you may as well find out in phase 1 and not waste all that time, money and resources to get through the 8 phases. So they try to kill their projects every day. But when you have that kind of audacious goal and incredible risk and you're trying to fail forward, then that inherently makes people nervous and makes people not really sure, are people going to laugh at me, or people, am I going to get fired? Like what's it? It's a nerve-wracking thing to do something so risky. So the culture that they've created there celebrates when you kill a project. You are applauded and given promotions and bonuses and things like that. And so they've got teams of between 2 and 30 people on each of the different projects. And it's not even failure. They use the phrase kill the project.
Yes.
And if they let it celebrated. And so because of that, it's safe to fail. And that inherent discomfort is cushioned by the safety that's created in the culture.
Yes.
I just thought it was amazing. That's changing my to-do.
It's completely opposite to what the school system teaches, is that you have to get the answer right. And if you don't get the answer right and you stand up and put your hand up and you take that risk, that's the scariest thing to do, is put your hand up and the teacher says, or the lecturer says, no, that's wrong, sit down. And you want the floor to open up and swallow you, but having the permission and actually being encouraged to get it wrong is, I think, very empowering. It's true.
Can you imagine schools that actually fostered that culture? Oh. Like we've been dealing with schools where it's, even if you get the answers to the question right, if the teacher doesn't want to answer the questions that you ask in class,
yes,
they send you get punished. You get punished for asking questions, but yes, the school policies say kids are expected to ask questions in class, but there is no little asterisk that says don't ask inconvenient or challenging questions that our teachers will have to actually be authentic and self-aware in order to answer. Like, that's not in the policies.
No.
But like it's pretty horrifying. So raising a kid with these kinds of cultural values, who understands that it is not damaging to their own self-worth if they ask questions and the teacher disagrees, not that it's wrong, but the teacher disagrees, and that they're actually willing to back themselves and disagree with the methods in the books, or yes, and find out their own methods to do things that are a lot easier, and still fit into the school system enough that they don't get kicked out of it before they graduate. That is a bit of a tightrope.
It's a conundrum. It is, yeah, for sure. But I mean, how does anything new come through if all we're doing is rote learning and regurgitating?
YouTube, we
now have that technology.
Like now,
yes,
the teachers are not the sole source of information. Like I think when my son was about 8, he says, "Mum, I get 50% of my learning from you, and like 40% from TV and 10% from school." I'm like, that's pretty good, because I know what he watches and I know what kinds of stories and values and character traits and everything, because we talk about all of that. But now, 10 years on, the kids have access to real information. The teachers send them to Khan Academy to get their lessons and to learn something if they don't understand a piece. They've got all these resources available. So thankfully, the school is no longer the bottleneck that it used to be.
True. It's just it's still problematic, but yeah.
It's glorified babysitting, and we all know
I think it's got a few roles. It's, socialisation and all that sort of stuff goes on there. And, if you think about back at your own school days, it's, where you make solid friendships and probably lifelong friendships,
Yeah.
But that's in terms of having to put your hand up to use the bathroom, it's doing things like that to tiny little bodies and minds is pretty awful. So it's got its pluses and minuses, I guess.
It does. And when you've got that social inclusion thing is such a huge, huge big deal neurologically during those teenage years.
Yes.
If you have social losses, social traumas during the brain's adolescence, which is 11 to 24, it's coded with more importance in the brain than any other time in life. And so if you have that solidarity with your friendships, you can stand up to the teachers. But if you don't have that solidarity socially, it can be crushing.
Yeah.
And it's a really fine line between both of those.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, I'm just glad that there are some places to go to work that have supportive, encouraging, failure-free, well, not even failure-free, but failure-supportive, safe cultures after kids finish school.
Yeah.
And because of these kinds of TED Talks and other things, they can know that that exists and challenge what's going on at school, or even just not use those experiences to define them personally and go, you know what, something's not okay here, and I don't want to be well adjusted to this environment. I want to be well adjusted to that other environment, and just be okay with that. Stay in that limbo for a little while longer rather than changing to fit in here. But we all know there's another there that we can fit in with.
Yeah, exactly. Really, and given the diversity of learning styles and the way that we take in information and the way that we express ourselves, you know, there's just so much diversity in a school system. I don't think it supports that enough, because it's pretty much one road that you have to travel. Well,
it's changed quite a lot. I'm really, really happy with that. There's a lot of schools that do things like a legacy project where the kids do something together, even in grade 6, not even in senior school, where they find a need that the school has. The school needs to have some more tables and chairs, and they together do a project. They liaise with the council and with the construction workers and with everything to do something, that a need that they found in their community that they're going to leave behind when they move on. And those things are happening in schools, at least here that I know of, for at least 10, 15 years, which is beautiful. And I don't know how it is in the States or even in New South Wales anymore, but here, if kids aren't on a university track, they can complete a couple of diplomas before they've even finished school. They do it on school time, which is really nice, but they still have to put up with teachers they call she-devil. When they're texting from class, there's a she-devil confiscated his phone again.
Well, that's always going to happen. It doesn't matter, I guess, how good the school is. Wherever there's conflict, there's going to be, you know, the tendency to point the finger and call names. I mean, that's what being kids about too, isn't it?
Well, like, also in that culture, like, they find that killing a project and looking for ways to try to make something fail and tear it down and all that kind of thing is a supportive group activity, and it's actually really exhilarating. And I'm a little concerned that my child finds picking on the teachers to be a little more exhilarating than it should be, but
well,
at least it's not crushing him.
I think that goes away with a bit of maturity as well. You know, it's sort of like, you know, boys will be boys, I guess, and kids will be kids, and that you know, that is their present reality.
Yeah, it is. And these kids have found a way to have an awareness of the future and be really present in the moment as well, with themselves and with each other. You know, and I'm blown away that they've managed to find that balance, because that's what these guys were.
I think they. I'm getting a bit of feedback now.
How's that?
It's better.
Okay.
So, oh no, it's still there. Sorry, I don't know what changed, but.
Sorry, Dal. Do you want me to chuck my headphones in?
Yeah.
And while we're here, we're just going off on tangents based on the TED opening ceremony that was simulcast in over 1,000 cinemas worldwide.
Wow.
The last couple of nights. Our local one was sort of local. Let me get rid of that feedback. Is that better?
Testing 1, 2, 3. Yes.
Testing.
Perfect.
Excellent. Yeah, the way that they simulcast in 1,000 different cinemas around the world, and it's out of Vancouver. And Vancouver was also full. Like, the main event was full. They had 40 different places, 40 different houses and venues actually doing simulcasts in Vancouver.
Wow.
As well as 1,000 cinemas around the world. So it was pretty cool.
Wow, that's really big.
Who was next? Oh, I liked the next guy. It was his second time talking at the main TED conference, and his name was Dan someone. I'm really terrible. I'm remembering all the brilliant things they said, but not their name.
Okay.
I'm completely skipping over the genome guy. The genome guy was amazing. So just talking about the human genome and how we are moving towards the possibility of personalized medicine. But the way that he talked about it was they got the actual decoding of Dr. Craig something or other. I'm so terrible with names today. Yeah, they got the actual decoding of an individual's genome, the guy who started the genome exploration in the first place. And it was in like 275 books, this fat, like 1,000-page each, tiny little font, just A's and T's and D's and G's, for 275 books, and is going and looking at, well, this sequence, 8 characters, that determines eye color. And then he pulls out another book and goes, well, this determines whether you have cystic fibrosis or not, right? And out of 3 billion little units, little characters, only 500,000 of them, not even that, only like 500 pages of the 275 books. 500 pages is all that is different between you and me and anyone else.
Wow. The
other 274,500 pages, absolutely identical. Okay. And it's and they're doing things like training computers to read the genome and be able to reconstruct a face, be able to reconstruct different characteristics just by decoding it from the genome, which is just incredible. Really, really incredible. So, yeah, forgot about him. He was hilarious and informative. The next I was talking, he said that a vision is a plan with not quite enough time. That gets things done. Having a plan and not quite enough time actually gets things done.
Right.
And he was talking about the boldness, the daring dreams, the bold deadlines and commitments of astronauts and drag queens in their time to do things that society or science thought was impossible at a time when it was really, really, really difficult. So, saying that what is talking about Thomas Merton, he quoted him a couple of times, saying that what are we to gain if we can sail to the moon if we are not able to cross the abyss that separates us from ourselves? That was kind of touching, because even in activism and all these things that we do in the name of love, there is this frenzy, this overwork, where we're so hectic with it all that in the quest for outer peace, we destroy our ability to actually experience inner peace. And he was talking a lot about the presence and the future, and we don't just have to use our imagination to figure out how much more we can do and what technology we can develop, but it's time for our imagination to look at the other dimension and look at how much more we can be and how much more our humanity can develop, and have technology and humanity both growing and supporting each other. So as our technology goes up and up and up the exponential curve, our capacity to listen and understand hasn't gone anywhere. And
our
access to information
and all of that, all the other human qualities, you know.
Connectedness, serenity, like all of that. And our access to information goes up, but our access to joy has stayed neutral or gone backwards, which was really, really fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there was the woman who I loved her. She is Shonda Rhimes. Now, has anyone known Shonda Rhimes? What are we talking about? Hi, BD Chapel. We are talking about the TED 2016 opening session, and there were 5 speakers, and we've just been talking about some of the speakers. So one of them was the technology versus humanity. Another one was genome, and another one was the beautiful little 10-year-old girl talking about how children lose their childhood too early. That's one of her greatest fears. And another is with food and water either coming in short supply or getting commercialized and commoditized so that we actually have to pay too much for them, which will stop people from having access to them. And war and education. She had a beautiful line where she said, "I dream of a world where we think 10 times before hiking up the price on education. We think 100 times before one nation declares war on another. We think 1,000 times before wasting food and water, and we think 10,000 times before stopping a child from having their childhood." Really beautiful and stuck with me. So yeah, we're starting with TED 2016 and going off on the tangents that come from there. If you want to jump in and join us, we do have another couple of seats. And I don't know how to do that from here. This is also an experiment. This is my very first blab, and I'm still learning how all of the controls work and how to grab someone and invite them into a seat. You did that yourself, didn't you, Estelle? Or did I do it?
There's a square on the screen that says open seat and lock seat. So
yeah, so if anyone wants to jump into an open seat, or if you want to join in on the chat, you are more than welcome to. Yeah, the last one, Shonda Rhimes, she is a very, very big deal in terms of television, writing, producing, directing. Like a large amount of the popular stuff that's on TV is stuff that she has created. And her talk, it wasn't like the usual TED Talk. It started out seeming like a TED Talk, and I decided to say yes to everything for a year and blah, blah, blah. And it's gradually became like a slam poem. And there was just this fire and this energy and this rhyming and everything. And it all came down to she lost the passion that she had for her work. But it was during a year where she'd committed to say yes to everything, and especially to say yes to her children every time they say, "You want to play?" And so her kids would say, "You want to play?" And even if she was rushing out to the door to a meeting or anything, she'd made a commitment to herself that she would say yes. So she said yes. And in actually saying yes to that and no longer pushing and being more titan than mother, or than even human being, was just like go, 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 rather than be, be, be. And she was playing with her kid, and it actually brought the magic back to her work. And so I've kind of got the 2 big things that I've taken as habits out of the ideas that came with TED last night. One was the enthusiastic skepticism and killing your projects. Like, I've got so many projects that haven't taken off because I haven't been able to see around the corner. And you're not meant to see around the corner. You're meant to see the next step. And so just having this vibe of enthusiastically, safely trying to find the Achilles heel in your projects, doing the hardest things first. And that's partly why I'm on here today, having a chat with you guys. Like, I kind of like this blab thing. I want to check it out. Let's give it a go. So, yeah, if we can give it a go at an hour and a half's notice, then we can give it a go at a week's notice, and it's even easier, you know? So that was that. And the other big piece that is totally, it's already a habit. I've noticed myself writing it and saying it to myself and everything, was this whole concept of want to play. Like, I've read a lot of things about the power of play and how play just dissolves anxiety and reconnects us creatively and things like that. But play and want to play are different. Want to play brings that relational aspect to it. Like, it brings that responsiveness to it. So if your child or your spouse or your workmate, or in my case, my cat, asks if you want to play, say yes. You know, there's this connection and this bond, and you're not only getting into the present, you're getting into the present together. Right? You're getting into that connected, unknown, vulnerable, raw moment, and that activates so much, not just within you, but between you. And like, we co-activate each other. We're always co-activating and co-regulating each other, and we can only play when we feel safe. We can't, if we're hungry or desperate, or we're fighting for our lives and we've got to look over our shoulder for some reason, we can't play when that's going on. So creating cultures which enable us to play and enable us to risk and enable us to be in the moment and dare to do things that might not work, but just play. Like, I'm going to start playing piano again, which is kind of awesome. And I was at the radio station this morning, and there's one girl playing guitar, another one playing ukulele, and guy on harmonica and things like that. And it's like, it's play. It's totally play, and it's wonderful. So,
it also allows more creativity to come in too, doesn't it? The play. But so,
what kind of connectivity?
Creativity. So
creativity.
Yeah, so it brings in more. It's almost like the third thing when you say there's, play with one, or come and play, or let's play. That's at least. And then that allows the third thing to come in, which is the creativity. So the creativity then can rise as well. But and it is all about being in the present. So if you're not in the present, you can't play, as you said. That's so true. And yet, and
inviting each other into that present is just beautiful.
It is.
How you want to play.
It is, and that's that connection that you mentioned, and it also is community, and it is, it's better than one.
It is.
When you bring in more than one, then it starts to get exponential.
It does. Are you guys enjoying this? Is this useful? Do you have any other things? Because I really love talking with people and bouncing around different ideas and things. I've got a bunch of little things that I need to record on my own, but I enjoy this engagement a lot more than just grabbing ideas and recording them without another human present. So if you guys have any questions or comments or anything, even what's your favorite TikTok ever? Or what's the TED Talk that you wish that they would make, but it hasn't been made yet? That would be very, very cool to know. And if you want, we can talk about that. And if not, I might actually go and play myself. As soon as I got in from the radio this afternoon, my son comes out and he's like, "Hey, do you want to do this and do you want to do that?" And I'm like, "Yes, but I've scheduled this thing." So after that, we'll do this. So I'm actually going to go and practice some of that.
You
got anything, Estelle?
Me? Sorry.
Anything spring to mind?
I was waiting for someone else to come up and say something, but yeah. No, I just
I'm cool with it.
I love the whole concept of the dreams and both sides of the dream. So, you know, dreaming of what could be, but also using the dreams that you have at night to, you know, to inform you or direct you in your daily activities and things like that. So, you know, lots of ideas come to us in dreams, and that I think that's in that same realm as the visionary as well. So we allow it to.
Yeah.
So
that's the thing, like goals versus dreams. It's like a goal is something that you make happen, and even what the goal is and where it comes from is it almost comes from a forced place, whereas dreams come to us.
Yeah.
And I've always found that the goals that really come alive, and they not only activate me, they activate resources around me and people and just things that I never ever could have coordinated myself. They usually come to me in dreams, in ideas like that. It's not that I've sat there doing a goal setting session and I'm writing down what my goal is because someone else told me that's what you do right now. It's something that comes unbidden. And I think they come unbidden when we're in that connected unknown with each other.
Yes.
You know, like we connect, we open up a space for something else to come through when we actually connect.
Yeah, and when you open up that space, something always comes through.
Yeah, it does. And then you get to listen to it and play with it.
If you're still enough to listen to it. If you're too busy worrying about the future and what's going to happen and are you meeting this goal, which may not be your goal, it might be someone else's goal, is often the case. So, you know, it's having that ability to be still and be present that you get that information that comes through. And it will surprise you what that is.
It will. I'm enjoying this. Are you enjoying this?
I am. This is my first blab too, by the way. So
very nice. I'm not in the bath.
I'm not in the bath. When I joined, I wasn't expecting to come on at live. So
yes. Like join.
Yes, join. That's right.
Yeah. So that's I like this. I like it a bit better than Periscope, because Periscope is like a moving selfie. But this, we can have up to 4 people and have a panel and a conversation and things like that.
Yeah, I do think this is probably a better format, but we do need more people to join.
We will. But like I said,
it's the first one. We're willing to try it out.
It was last minute. I gave nobody any notice whatsoever.
True.
So, yeah, very, very, very cool. I definitely want to do more of these. I don't know how you guys found out about this or anything like that, but
I got an invitation on Facebook for this one.
Yeah, that's because I know you. There's a lot of people here that I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so I don't know how it promotes out or anything like that. But if you follow me or subscribe on Blab, I think how it works is that whenever I schedule another Blab, it'll let you know.
Okay.
And that's a teenager turning up at my door. And that sounded really bad. It was a friend of my son's turning up at my door.
Okay.
So there's that. And I set up very, very, very quickly jadebarclay.net, which I will let everybody know if you want to just go there, and there's an email address and all that kind of stuff. I'll let people know there when we're going to do some more. But I just figured that one of the things that I do without thinking about it, I'm always going to really cool conferences. Well, I think they're really cool. And like TED is one that's everyone's heard about, but I go to a bunch of different psychology conferences. I go to a bunch of different entrepreneurship conferences and spiritual therapy healing type conferences and everything in between. And I always want to share, like I want to go there with other people, because the conversations that we have after the workshops and the panels is so much more engaging. I go to a lot of business conferences as well. And the magic comes from the conversation after the event. more so than the stuff at the event.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to do these little blab conversations so that we can talk about that kind of stuff. So I've got another conference in San Francisco coming up at the end of this month. And so I'll be doing probably daily blabs while I'm there, and I'll grab some of the presenters and we'll talk and do a little panel together. And yeah, then anything else that we're doing as well, which should be very, very fun.
Sounds good.
There's one on mental health and neuroscience last year. It was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we'll do some more of that kind of thing. So if you guys want to keep informed on that, either follow or subscribe on Blab or Twitter or however this works, or go to jadebarclay.net, and I threw it up today just for this, a little page to join the inner circle, so I'll let you know whenever these things are happening. Cool.
Lovely. Well, thanks for sharing all that, Jade. That was really good.
Thank you. Thanks for showing up and giving me someone to talk to.
No problem. Anytime.
I know all the other people are people to talk to, but it's very, very different with video than with a couple of chats showing up at the side. Thanks for showing up, everybody. Lovely to meet you all. And yeah, now to figure out how to finish this thing. Oh, Estelle.
Yes.
Last thing.
Yes.
Did you do our New Year planning party where we were turning goals into habits?
No.
Were you on that? I can't remember.
No, I wasn't on that.
No, I'm going to do another one of them soon, because the whole thing of translating goals into habits is really, really fun.
Okay.
And it's been a couple of months, so I'll let everyone know about that as well when it happens.
Lovely.
Cool. Thanks, Take care. See you, everyone.